My name is Jenny Waldo, and I am the producer, writer, director of Martha's Mustang, a feature film inspired by the true events of a woman in Baytown, Texas in 1994 who fights the city over a hot pink Mustang that she has refurbished into a flower planter and put out front of her auto body shop that the city calls a violation of the brand new Junk Car Ordinance. This story is near and dear to my heart for many reasons. Back in 2018, when I had a short film on the festival circuit, I was approached by a local insurance adjuster, Tom Eishin, who knew Martha from his work and thought her story could be a good movie. And so I met Martha and her husband Billy, and I started doing some documentary interviews with some of the people involved in the story and started fleshing out what this might look like as a scripted, fictional, inspired by movie.
I started working for my parents right out of high school, and they let me start out washing cars. And as time went by, my father's right-hand man in the business had a heart attack and was going to be out for several months recovering. So I talked my dad into letting me learn how to write estimates and get more involved in the production part of the industry. And I loved it. We were taking something broken and putting it back together and restoring it to somewhat new condition. I mean, you can't make something broken brand new, but you can make it good so that it functions like it did before. So I guess that was just the craftsmanship. And over the years, I had a lot of customers that would come into the office and say, I've driven by here 3 times before I finally saw the body shop. You know, it's just too hard to find. So I was thinking I need to overcome that. I need to make it more visible. I need something eye-catching. And my brother-in-law really likes old cars. And my mother had saved a magazine for him. And I was looking at this magazine, and there was I think it was like a bed and breakfast somewhere up on the East Coast. And they had like an old Model T truck, or part of a truck out front. And they had landscaping and their sign around it. So I really liked that. So I thought, you know, maybe that would work for some kind of signage for the shop. So, you know, I tossed it around with people and tossed it around with the employees at the shop. And one of the employees, Brent Stedham, he had an old 74 Mustang 2, which is probably the ugliest Mustang they ever built. That it didn't have an engine in it. It was just a car body. And he said that he would donate it to us. So we got that car in the shop and started cutting the roof off, cutting holes in it. I was sitting in my office, and I think Howard Gudgel had worked for the fire department, and then another lady named Debbie Barnes, who I went to high school with, they walked into my office and served me with a paper from the city that said I was going to have to move.
What brings you over, Howard?
Martha, I hate to do this. I really do. Got a call from Miss Debbie Barnes over at the Office of Enforcement. You know, I do the volunteer inspections for the city manager. Asked me to come out here and take a look at that Mustang you got out there.
Why?
Apparently it's in violation of the Junk Car Ordinance.
I don't understand.
Well, last year the mayor, he approved the Junk Car Ordinance. Get rid of rotting cars left on people's yards, making our city look bad.
Okay, that car isn't junk. That body is completely restored. It is part of the sign. Can't we just amend our sign permit?
Well, you see, it meets the definition of a junk car, Martha.
And they had someone call and complain. So, it had to be someone that was aware of the definition of a junk car that called in and complained. Maybe it was a disgruntled citizen who'd had a run-in with the city over the junk car ordinance and lost. Maybe it was a disgruntled customer or disgruntled competitor. But they had a complaint, so they had to act on it.
I'm a big Mustang fan, and that particular body style was not ever very popular, but it was an interesting little car. It was purple, and it was a convertible, and they had gone to a lot of effort. And I drove past it almost every day, and I watched its progress over the weeks. And one day on my way down North Main, headed home, I looked over at the little Mustang, as I did every time I passed, and I saw the unmistakable bright fluorescent orange sticker on the side of the Mustang that I knew was the city's tow-away sticker. So that kind of freaked me out, because I knew that what that meant was that the city and their judgment had decided that this work of art was a junk car and needed to be towed away. So there's rules where lawyers can't solicit clients unless you have a previous relationship. And Martha and I had known each other for a long time, so I whipped around, did a U-turn, I pulled in, and I walked in and said, basically, what the hell? What's going on? She said, I don't know, it just, the sticker showed up. I said, well, this is not good. I said, they're planning on you having to remove this vehicle. And I said, it's not just a vehicle, it's a sign. I said, it's speech, it's free speech. And I said, can I represent you? She said, sure. I remember the conversation on the phone with the city attorney, and I was pretty cocky, and I told him, I said, please make me try this case. Please let me in front of a jury so I can explain to them how y'all are infringing on this woman's freedom of speech, and how you are taking advantage of a local woman who is a business owner, one of the few female business owners in town, and they've done their best to make your dirty little street pretty, and now you're going to declare it a junk car. Please make me try this case. We were really on thin ice, and that was the reason that I used the First Amendment free speech tactic, because by definition we had a junk car sitting in front of a building. It was very pretty, but we had a junk car sitting in front of a building. And so I had to be a little creative.
So this is the central conflict of the movie, Martha's Mustang. But it's about so much more than just the Mustang. It's about a woman in business. It's about Martha, and it's about Baytown, and it's about the world in 1994, which was a really interesting time, especially here in Texas, because that was the year that Ann Richards ran for re-election as governor and lost to George Bush. The Houston Rockets were going for their first NBA championship.
Time running out on the New York Knicks. The Houston Rockets are the 1993-94 NBA champions.
This movie is about what it means to be a woman in the world, a woman in Texas, and it's using 1994 as a reflection point. This movie also deals with what it means to be a woman of a certain age. Martha at the time was in her 40s. There's a powerful connection between Martha and the junk that she restores into beautiful flower planters around the auto body shop.
I mean, I'm just a person trying to learn and do a job that I liked. And there were probably quite a few males that didn't really feel like I should be doing what I was doing, or they would think that I didn't know what I was doing.
So, I mean, Martha's obviously a good-looking woman, and so you can imagine 30 years ago when an old codger is coming up there to, hey, I need an estimate on my car, and Martha comes out there, you know, with her nice flowing curly hair. Oh, I'm gonna write it up for you. Oh no, you need to get one of those boys in the back. You know, it's obvious, but she still is actually more knowledgeable than any. We have now 100 employees, and I don't know how many technical estimators, and Martha's still the best at what she does as far as technically assessing the damage of the car. And I left after I graduated college. I went to work for the paint company, and huge paint company, and I assumed there would be tons of painters that had bachelor's degrees, but I was naive in that. So when they discovered that I could deal with the owners so I was sent all over the country, and there was hardly any women that owned body shops. I mean, literally, it was extremely small percentage. I mean, 2 or 3%. It was very divisive. I mean, there were some people that loved the car, some people that hated the car.
As a woman business owner, Martha's story spoke to me. As a woman in film, it's also a male-dominated field. And I love rebellion stories. My first feature film was a coming-of-age rebellion story, more in kind of the punk phase of things, but also set in the 90s.
What is a girl? Is she a soft and cuddly vision in a pink sweater? A lady in a dress and a come-hither smile? Under that dress, that sweater, she's no girl. She's a girl. A riot girl.
We want girls to the front!
Acid Test was awarded for its gender-balanced production and is out now on various platforms. We premiered at the Austin Film Festival, which was awesome, and were nominated for the Texas Independent Film Award by the Houston Film Critics Society. One of the main characters of Martha's Mustang is Baytown itself. This is a story that can happen anywhere. It is enriched by the look and feel and character that exists in Baytown, Texas. And that is something that I want to celebrate and explore in this movie. This is a community story. We need the community involved, and it will only be better with everyone pulling together. We've had a lot of successes so far. The script was selected as a quarterfinalist for the Nickel Fellowship, which is the top screenwriting competition. We were selected to do a producing lab and a narrative lab at the Stowe Story Labs in Vermont. The project was also supported by the City of Houston through the Houston Arts Alliance Support for Artists and Creative Individuals grant, which allowed us to do a table read workshop of the script in front of a live audience. That was part of the events of the Houston Cinema Arts Festival. It was a really wonderful time. Martha and Don both came out and met with their actor representation. It was a ton of fun and gave great feedback that helped shape the script into its current version.
Bobby Roundtree walks out of his office to greet Don. Don shakes his hand vigorously and smiles, his high wattage smile.
Mr. Roundtree, call me Bobby. And you can call me Don. I just wanted to drop off these letters of support that Martha has received over at Baytown Motors in hopes that she can keep her purple planter out in front and adjust her sign permit to indicate that it's part of the sign.
I love my local actors and the people who have come out to represent Martha and Don and Frank and all these wonderful characters. But the reality of independent filmmaking is that we need recognizable name actors in order to sell this film and make it a reality. So that is our next step, to search for name actors and attach them. And the good news is this project has had a lot of appeal. People hear this story and they're immediately intrigued. They think it's going to be a lot of fun. And this kind of feel-good, female-centered movie is something that is working in the market. The style of the film is kind of an Aaron Brockovich meets I, Tonya, because I want to lean into my documentary background and the true story aspect of this film in a really fun and quirky way. If you guys have seen the movie Bernie, which is based on a true story from Texas, that kind of has similarities to the way I'm approaching the style of this film. And we also have a diverse funding strategy, including investors and corporate sponsorships and product placement and all kinds of things like that. So it's a great project to get involved with. We need community resources to not only bring this project to life, from locations and wardrobe and props and cars and things like that, but we also need financial support. We are fiscally sponsored by From the Heart Productions, which makes all donations tax deductible. Thank you for your support, and I look forward to collaborating with you on Martha's Mustang really soon.